And man said, Let us make God in our image, after our likeness. God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. Genesis 1:27. And it came to pass in the process of time that man reciprocated. So man created God in his own image. In the image of man created he God. Everything God does, Satan makes an imitation of or tries to. As Jannes and Jambres withstood Moses and Aaron, replicating the signs given to them with their magic, Satan raises up his servants to contend with those who God sends. God sends a prophet to Israel. Satan raises up 450 prophets of Baal. God sends teachers, preachers, and evangelists. Satan sends even more. The Lord sends his servant to establish churches. Satan has far more in megachurches. God sent his Son, Jesus Christ. Satan has his Antichrist. Indeed, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. But just as the magicians of Egypt failed, in the end also everything Satan does fails. The Bible says Satan is the god of this world. And as Satan does, so do his children also. Jesus told the Pharisees plainly, You are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father you will do. Just as it is now, the religious institutions at the time of Christ had been taken over by those imitating service to God, and very few were sincerely seeking God. This is the root of the apostasy taking place in the church today. Godless man is constantly trying to imitate and compete with God. Now, more than any time before, man has come to a place where he is defiantly throwing off the cloaks of traditional religion and donning lab coats to confront God to his face with the science. However, science, so-called, is itself merely a faith. And if not, the recommendations given by government agencies would not later be refuted or revised because of new scientific data. But this is what we see happening repeatedly. In fact, scientific data changes much faster than bad religious doctrines do. The fallacies in science, which are frequently dismantled by science, we are told, proves that science works because it is self-correcting. Yes and no, for it also means that the science we were earlier compelled to obey was wrong, and soon enough we are going to find out a whole lot more was wrong. Facts are to be believed. However, when theories are used to tie facts together into false narratives, they are not worthy of being a religion, which much of science has become. The arrogance of man against God is astounding. Man defies God, and yet he must rely solely upon what God has given to do so. God gave us magnificent brains that can not only think, but control multifarious body functions at the same time without a thought, 24/7. The computer is man's attempt to make an imitation brain. In comparison, with which it is not worthy to be compared, it is junk. When I open my laptop, a picture is displayed of something awesome that God created, but there is no glory given to God. Instead, there's a little clickbait statement or question with only the first few words appearing, attempting to lure my mind away and get into my head. At any rate, the scientific technocrats have created an artificial brain that's constantly trying to get into my brain and collect information and manipulate me. So what's up next? Well, it shouldn't surprise you. Since science has no soul, it does not love, feel compassion, have loyalty or devotion, or anything that involves spirituality. This, of course, makes for a lousy religion, and even a lousier God. But never fear. Enter the artificial conscience, complete with heart, mind, and soul. All artificial, of course, but when brought up to a high enough level, it will be able to deceive real hearts, minds, and souls. For it will be a God made in the image of man. For in the image of man made they God. The emerging artificial intelligence merely mimics humans, but compounded to a degree so far beyond human capabilities, it is an attempt to mimic God. And they give power unto this image of the beast, that it should both live and speak. And the people of the earth follow after this image and worship it. All hail 𝐀𝐫𝐭𝐢𝐟𝐢𝐜, artificial God. And to think, Aldous Huxley, when writing Brave New World, thought it was going to be praise forward. So then, with this new technology, science will now not only have an artificial God with an artificial brain, but an artificial heart and soul to boot, to go along with it. And it will feign to have a conscience, and to care and to love humanity. Yes, indeed, for out of necessity they will have to create and give the artificial intelligence an artificial conscience, to keep it from wiping humanity out, when after every calculation it seems the right thing to do. Or will they? Good question.